Welcome back to the Jenny McCarthy Show. I'm Jenny McCarthy Wahlberg. I'm so excited. You know, I had dinner with her, I think like 20 years ago, it feels like. A huge fan of her work. She's got a new book, thank God. It's her 9th. Candace Bushnell. Welcome to my show, girl.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
That book was so crazy when we had dinner. What? I still remember it. I feel like it was near a parking lot somehow. And then we were talking about this business sucks. They don't listen to us women.
Totally. And I don't know what you're doing, but you've aged minus. Like you look like you're 20 years old. What are you doing?
I'm just trying to have a good attitude. Honestly, not smoking.
Nah, yeah.
Cigarettes.
Yep. Did you ever smoke cigarettes?
And exercising. It's so annoying. I feel like, why didn't I do this before?
I know. I feel the same way. It's like I have to start now, and I'm like, I mean, do you like exercising?
You know what? I do things like I do a walk in the park. I try to do, I go for bike rides. I try to do the 1,000 steps, but no, going to the gym and all that, I can't.
No, I mean, it's really, really hard for me. I mean, I have to mentally prepare myself and talk myself into it every single day. And I'm like, Exactly. But whatever you're doing, you're doing it right. And I want to plug your book because we got a great book buying audience. Is There Still Sex in This City? The book is available right now. So the book is obviously it's fiction, but it's based on you and your friends, right?
It is. It's like Sex in the City. And actually, it was the same impetus writing Is There Still Sex in the City as I had writing Sex in the City. I really felt like this is a new time in women's lives and it's uncharted territory. I mean, we just don't, so many women say after 50 they feel like they're invisible. And in fact, 50 years ago, if you were 50, you were old and you were really supposed to disappear. But that's not how it works today. So as I say, it's not your mother's middle age, and it is uncharted territory. There's so many women who are single again at this time and dating and having to figure out new career moves,
right?
And moving, and it's an interesting time.
It's exciting.
There's no retirement going on.
Right, exactly, which I really love. I mean, I definitely know that dating in your 20s is way different than dating in your 40s or 50s, but how have you seen it, men approach it differently from the 20s, 30s, and 40s?
Well, I don't know if men are really approaching it differently. I don't even know if men have ever had a dating approach. I mean, it's just sort of, hey, maybe I can get off. No, that's too rude. That's not right.
Sounds like something.
The internet has changed things so much. It's really people on demand. I mean, that is what has changed dating and relationships so much. And people do meet people on the internet, but of course what happens is that you think you've met someone and you think you have this great relationship for 6 months, and then the person disappears. They go back on the app.
Right. And I was talking about this
find
the other
somebody
day.
else. So it's
there's too many possibilities out there now. People have you can just swipe left or right and, get on to the next one. I was talking to someone the other day about you could be on a date and thinking should I go to the bathroom and make my next date? Because
yes.
There's so many possibilities. I would hate to be single right now.
It's not easy. And then, of course, one of the crazy things about this age and this time, and this is something that I never imagined would happen 30 years ago. And I do a whole chapter on this in the book, and it's called cubbing. And it's the reverse of Mrs. Robinson. I'm sure you've experienced this, but at one time it was cougars, older women going after younger guys. Now that is not true because of pornography and the MILF.
Oh, yes, I know.
I call them cubs, and they're young guys who are on the prowl for older women, and I call them catnips.
Oh my God, I love that.
Because they are not out there to attract these young men. But one of these guys, this was a funny story to me. I don't know if you remember on Sex and the City, Samantha has sex with a FedEx guy.
Yes, of course.
So a friend of mine, she had a FedEx guy. He came to her house. He was young. He was 21, 22. And he had her phone number. When he left, he texted her and said, "You're so beautiful. Can we hang out?" And she said, "I don't think so." And he said, "Why? Is 22 too young for you?" And she said, "Yes." And he said, "Oh my God, wow, that really hurts. Are you sure?"
That's not the first time I've heard a story like that. Like, no, I've seen so many young guys chasing after MILFs.
Yes, exactly.
And you think it's directly related to possibly porn?
Well, MILF was the most Googled porn term in 2007.
That was all because of David.
And, so you imagine these guys maybe they were 12. And, now they're 27. And they're after us still.
Right. Oh my God. I mean, obviously they're though looking for like experience and having a good time, not necessarily to tie you down.
No, but I've heard stories where they can't get rid of the guy. I mean, one story where it's now 8 years and the woman's like, "I've got another son." But of course, women say that about, their husbands when their husbands are even older. It's like, "I've got 3 kids. One of them's my husband."
Right. Totally. You're right. Let me plug your book again. Is There Still Sex in the City by Candace Bushnell. The book is available right now. Have you ever gone on any Tinder dates or apps like that?
Oh, I did. In the book. I did a whole investigation on Tinder, and I would never have gone on it myself, except that a woman she was the editor-in-chief of Cosmopolitan magazine. She was 26. She sent me an email saying, "All of my friends are on Tinder, and it's ruining their lives, and you've got to help us." Okay, dating's bad. But ruining people's lives is like, ooh, I was like, I got to look into this. And they had so many complaints about the men and these Tinder dates that were non-existent. And they said that the guys just wanted sex, or else, they had drug problems or mental illnesses. I mean, the list went on and on. So I went on Tinder and I found this guy. They were all younger guys. And he was a good-looking guy. He was really nice. And I thought maybe I'd found the Tinder unicorn.
Right.
We went out again. And then we were supposed to meet a third time. He didn't show up. And then he sent me a text saying that he took some MDMA. And he freaked out. He got in his car. He tried to drive. He was arrested. And then he was taken to the hospital and put on like a 24-hour suicide watch or something. I was like,
my God.
I just thought this was exactly what everybody warned me against. And I thought, no, I'm beating Tinder.
Right.
I'm finding somebody. I'm winning.
Besides it being an obvious thing to not do, I mean, is there an age group where you should say, okay, ladies and guys, don't go on if you're past 30 or 40. It's not the place to go.
Not really. I mean, there are dating apps that are for over 50s, and the women I know who've gone on them, they found people.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's interesting because, there are a lot of guys who are middle-aged, 50, 60. They are not used to the idea of a woman of 50 or 60 being attractive. So they are going for 35, 45. And, so those dating apps, it's like one way at least to weed out those guys who are, their minds are not there.
So the guys that are on those apps have already said, or come to the realization that a woman can be beautiful and have wisdom after 50. I don't need to dip down into the 30s.
Exactly. And what's interesting to me is I want to say to these guys, hey, come on. But there are a lot of guys who get divorced and I was just ran into this guy the other day. He's like 56. He's a okay guy. Yeah, he's fine. He's just getting divorced. And he's like, Candace, but I can't believe it. I have all these young women after me, like 35-year-olds. And he's like, I don't want to be with them. I wanted to be with my wife.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's so sad, but it's for women who are 35 or 45, a guy who's, in his 50s, he's got a job, he's been married. I mean, that guy's a catch because they figure he's going to start a family again and get married.
Totally. I mean, honestly, that's why I had to move out of LA because being a 40-year-old woman in LA, you have to date 60. Oh. And I wasn't ready to go there.
Well, I was 55 and I dated 75.
Good for you.
No, it was bad, Jenny.
Oh.
It was so bad. All the guy wanted to do was have sex. And he showed me his bed. And he said, I've had a lot of great sex there. And I hope to have a lot more very soon. And I was like, really, dude? You want to get to it like right now? It was
awkward. That's what happened with Viagra. The creation of Viagra brought a whole new world out to these guys. Like, oh, I can get a 35-year-old now because I can fuck.
Well, one of the things that I discovered is something called the Mona Lisa treatment.
Oh, yeah.
Which is in the book, and that's a laser that goes in the old you-know-what.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about it before and tightens things up, makes it juicy again.
Yes, exactly. And for some women, when they have that, it's like Viagra. And there are stories of women actually, they're leaving their husbands for younger guys.
You're kidding.
No, I've heard at least 4 stories.
Just because it made them hornier or more confident that their vag
You know what? I think it made them hornier, more confident, and they got their mojo back, and they thought, hey, you know what? I'm going to
go test out the tunnel.
Exactly.
I mean, what makes a good partner for any guy that's listening in that's because I've heard guys before saying like, I don't even know how to date or where to begin or what to do. What do you think makes a good partner? What should a guy do?
Well, it's that goddamn thing, communication.
Yeah, right.
It comes down to that. And in some ways it's about listening. And it's also about making the other person feel seen as opposed to acting like they're an accessory to your life. I think that's really a turnoff for a lot of women these days is because, they've worked so hard to have their confidence, have their own lives, have their own careers. And then here comes a guy who he's still a little bit stuck in that old-fashioned idea about relationships. And they're not really looking for that. They really want somebody who's a partner.
I think you just articulated that so well. I hope anyone listening wrote that down or just read the book because you do have a great way of saying things. The book, again, is There's Still Sex in the City. I feel like now I want there to be a reboot of the show, but
actually,
version.
Is There Still Sex in the City is going to be a TV series.
Oh, great.
So I've started working on it, and there's so much material in what I call this new middle age. And it's an interesting time because it does have a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, it does.
It
does, but we're stronger than ever, I feel like.
Yes, exactly. And for a lot of women, it's a time of renewal. They sort of reach down and say, what is it that I really, really wanted to do and didn't have the courage to do?
Right.
Because you do kind of feel like, hey, you know what? This is me. Take it or leave it. I don't care. And that
exactly
does give you a kind of courage. Like so many women have said, it's really a time when, they feel like they are going to speak truth to power.
Right. And to kind of transition that, we've seen this kind of age group and this kind of power happen with the New York housewives. And I think you're friends with a couple of them, right?
Yes.
I love them so much. I've had them on my show so many times. do you feel like that they're a good representation of what we're talking about? Besides the fun and alcohol and craziness?
They actually are. They actually are. And, it's interesting because I know them. I've actually known some of them. It's probably since the 80s, I think. Wow. I've known Ramona. I remember Ramona at parties. But yes, I mean, they have done all of those things. Of course, it's interesting. I've gone on the show a couple of times, and it's a show, It's
right.
a TV show.
Would you ever be a housewife of New York?
No, I think I'm too scared. I don't know. Like Dorinda, she wasn't yelling at me, but she yelled, and I was like, ah!
It's too much.
I mean, they're all so much. Actually, they're all so much taller than I am. So they're boisterous. They're tough. They're all alphas. Yes, they are. They are.
They're not
They're
shy.
definitely tough.
Who do you see as casting for if the new TV show is there still Sex in the City? Who do you see? Playing?
I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, we're developing the character, so my feeling is keep a really open mind because honestly, my experience is, Sex in the City it was great, amazing, and I did Lipstick Jungle and the Carrie Diaries, and even with Sex in the City, we had no idea, and there's a lot of back and forth and changes, and this person's available, that person isn't. So one of the things that I learned is like you can't pick somebody sort of out of a hat and say I'd love to have this person because they're never going to be available or it's not going to be right for them or something.
If you have your heart set on somebody, it's like you don't want to be disappointed either.
Yes, so it's got to just evolve organically.
Were you disappointed that they couldn't get their shit together for the second Sex in the City movie?
Oh, you mean the third one?
The third one?
I don't know. I mean, honestly,
it's your baby.
I have to tell you, I didn't even know that there was a third movie until they said there wasn't going to be one. So I was like, yeah, I just didn't really know.
Mixed emotions.
What to say.
And were you in the knowing of like the drama that was happening? Did you know that they didn't get along?
You know what? I don't know anything about that. What I know is that they're all really nice. I mean, Kim Cattrall is like, she's so nice that you want to say, Kim, don't be so nice. And Sarah Jessica Parker is lovely. To me, it's just stuff that goes on a set, stuff that goes on in an office. I used to hang out with Kim a little bit, and I never heard her say anything negative. Right. I never heard anybody say anything negative. So I do think it's a little bit
kind of put out there a little bit too much. But yeah. I mean, maybe that it's perfect timing that chapter closes and then this one is next. We get to start fresh with a whole new cast.
Yes.
I have no doubt it would be a huge hit because everything you do. I love this book, you guys. Make sure you pick it up. Is There Still Sex in the City? It's available right now. Candace Bushnell. I can't wait for the TV show too, girlfriend. And come back anytime because you're so fun to talk to.
Oh, Jenny, thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you soon. We'll be right back, you guys.
Jenny McCarthy Show. Oh!